Nitu, Atira Renelta Arluk. I come to you from Treaty 7 territory here in Banff, Alberta, home of the Stoney Nakoda, Sutta of the Dene and Blackfoot and Métis Region 3, as well as gathering nations, Cris and Tanaha and surrounding territories. I'm really happy to be with you today. It's a beautiful day out there. We've had some good rain, some good thunder to cleanse the earth. And my name is Renelta Arluk. So I'm originally from the Northwest Territories. My mother is Dene Suslene and Cree from Treaty 8 Territory and Wood Buffalo Park National Park. And my father is Inuvialuit from the Inuvik region. I'm the director here of Indigenous Arts at Banff Centre for Arts and Creativity. I've been here about 4 years, and it's been incredible being able to spend this much time in the mountains where I'm from. It's Canadian Shield and pretty flat land with a lot of deep water. And so being here, it's been kind of beautiful to learn how to tell time, see the weather, and experience everything through the view of a mountain. And so I'm just really grateful for the land that that I'm currently residing on. Decolonizing the narrative conversation sessions. This is our second one that we're hosting, and the impetus of the Decolonizing the Narrative is to talk to Indigenous art leaders on their practice and how they're utilizing the work that the discipline that they work within, and using that through a deep connection to land and place and in their Indigenous ways of knowing and being. And so I'm really happy and thrilled to be able to see Laakkuluk Williamson Bathory and Cris Derksen join us today. So you can tell I'm a little nervous because I'm fangirling, but I'll introduce them. So So Cris Derksen is a twice Juno-nominated, internationally respected Indigenous cellist and composer. In a world where almost everything, people, music, cultures, get labeled and slotted into simple categories, Cris Derksen represents a challenge. Originally from Northern Alberta and Treaty 8 territory, she comes from a line of chiefs from North Tall Cree Reserve on her father's side and a line of strong Mennonite homesteaders on her mother's. Derksen braids the traditional and contemporary, weaving her classical background with her Indigenous ancestry together with a new school of electronics to create genre-defying music. There's a futuristic lens to Cris's work that compels curiosity of what will we see her do next. The scope of work and collaboration she brings to each endeavor is immense and inspires. As a composer, she has her foot in many worlds, working in choral, symphonic, film, theater, and dance, and is regularly commissioned by major Canadian orchestras and new music ensembles, including Banff Centre, Quartet Residency, White Man's Cattle, Wood Quintet International. $5 per head was the title of the work that was commissioned by Banff Centre. Some other commissions include to the Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra, the Camerata Nova Choir, the Art Gallery of Ontario, Luminato Festival, Thunder Bay Symphony Orchestra, Vancouver Children's Festival, and a new performance art piece commissioned by the National Art Gallery of Canada, Ikumagialit. Cris has won numerous awards across all genres. Dora Award for Best Sound Design for Theatre with Kinalik, These Sharp Tools, which we'll hear more about. 2011 Canadian Aboriginal Music Award for an Instrumental Album of the Year. Cris was nominated at the 2021 Summer Solstice Indigenous Music Awards for her work on Indigenous Fashion Week Toronto, and a new album of her works will be released in 2022. As a performer, Derksen performs nationally, internationally, solo, and with some of Canada's finest, including Tanya Tagaq, Buffy St. Marie, Naomi Klein, and Leanne Simpson, Laakkuluk Williamson Bathory, to name a few. Recent destinations include Hong Kong, Australia, Mongolia, Sweden, and a whole lot of Canada. And she also has the best smile. And Laakkuluk Williamson Bathory, first of all, I want to congratulate Laakkuluk as she has recently been shortlisted for the 2021 Sobe Art Award. She's the third Inuk to be recognized with this preeminent award for Canadian contemporary art. For those that don't know, the Sobe Art Foundation was established in 1981 with a mandate to carry on the work of entrepreneur and business leader, the late Frank H. Sobe. The Sobe Art Award is an annual prize given to emerging artists of any age. Over $200,000 in prize money is awarded annually, $100,000 to the winner and $25,000 each to the shortlisted artists. That includes an exhibition of their work. Laakkuluk Williamson Bathory is a multidisciplinary artist who works in performance, video, poetry, theater, storytelling, and dance. Born in Saskatchewan, the artist resides in Iqaluit, Nunavut, performing Uayornik, Greenlandic mask dance, passed down from her mother. She intertwines fear, humor, and sexuality. Central to her work are culture, womanhood, and repatriating our own practices, all imbued with political meaning. Determined to create and present her work with an Inuit setting, she often works collaboratively and has also presented her performance works in Nunavut, Vancouver, Ottawa, and Berlin. She has said that collaboration is very near and dear to her. Travel allows her to work with other like-minded artists, and it allows her to see different relationships to the land and different worldviews. She's always learning more about culture, both her own and the others around her. Laakkuluk is a founder of Kagyavut, an Inuit performing arts society based in Iqaluit. And she has received multiple awards for her artistry and advocacy, with the inaugural Indigenous Artist Award of the Sinchi Foundation, an international organization which seeks to uphold the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People by creating Indigenous allies around the world. And in 2018, Laakkuluk won the inaugural Knuuyak Ashvak Memorial Award from the Inuit Art Foundation that was celebrated with a seal feast at the Art Gallery of Ontario. So both of these incredible artists are deeply collaborative in process and creation, and I'm thrilled to welcome them and learn more about their work. Masitokuyanik, Laakkuluk and Cris.
Hello, hello. We're still little in the corner. There we are.
Yeah.
There we are. Now we're together. Renata, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You basically covered the whole thing. Not too sure what we have left to talk about. That was a really in-depth bio.
Thanks for coming. We'll talk to you later.
So, me and Laakkuluk are like, first and foremost, we're really dear, dear friends. And we became really dear, dear friends through creating work that is so close to our hearts and creating work that, um, with our dear friendship and learning and trusting each other, we have created a wide variety of art that lives in multiple areas. We've done Kinalik, which is a theater show that we've won a bunch of awards for. We've also performed in Mexico and in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Festival, International Festival, not the Fringe.
International Festival.
And then all over Canada. Where else have we gone with that? We were gonna go to. We were gonna go to Belfast.
We're going to go to the island, except for the pandemic, of course.
Yeah, and so now Kinalik is a little bit on a pause as we wait for folks to get comfortable with the Waranak. Do you want to say the name properly there?
Yeah. Do
you want to tell us a little?
Yeah, we thought maybe sure, I could do that. I was thinking, or we were all thinking, that it might be very important to allow people to feel comfortable in and amongst each other before we introduce something that's very jarring in the interactions between people, which is what Uayilnik is. And this is a feature of my art practice that's a big part of Kinalik. So just so you know what Uayilnik is, it is a trans-customary mass dance from Greenland, which is my motherland. My mother comes from, she was born in what is now a ghost town called Apamud, just north of Maniitsoq in Greenland. And so I say it's a trans-customary art form because it existed in pre-colonial times, and it continued to exist through colonial times, and then exists now in contemporary times. And all that happened was there was a great layer of oppression laid upon Inuit in Greenland by the Moravian and Lutheran missionary work for 300 years. So Wailnuk is a dance that people do idiosyncratically. Every performer does their own version, their own expression of Wailnuk with some basic elements in it, which is that you paint your face black and you have elements of red. And I actually use this theme of black and red in so much of my work because it's really a part of my core. And the blackness is to symbolize that we must remain humble as human beings at all times because we are nothing compared to the immensity of the universe. And red is a symbol of vulva, and there's bulges in the cheeks, which are symbols of testicles. And then there's lines that are symbols of bones. So you're combining all of these different symbologies to celebrate sexuality, to be very funny, and also to incite discomfort, going into the realms of what fear is and what boundaries you have and what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to respect of others, and really testing to see how far you can go into new realms of the surreal and the pretend and the hilarity, really. So that's kind of what Wailnuk is.
Yeah, and Kinalik, there's a major there's a major section of Wailnuk in it, but it's also a conversation of the North and the South with our friend Evelyn Perry, who met Laakkuluk on a boat on a ship. And what was really interesting about this show is we prepared the show as a piece that could be performed up north as well as down south. And it was really interesting to see the difference in perceptions of how folks understood and responded and interacted with the Wailnuk. But let's give you a cute little preview. This is just a little trailer of our piece, Kinalik, which is a theater piece that was originally done at Buddies and Bad Times in 2017, was it? I don't know, actually. I have no clue what year.
Yes. 2017.
Awesome. So I'm gonna share my screen here.
And our video's off.
So what I find super rad about Kinalik is when we do the Wailnuk, it's completely improvised. It's a moment where we get really loud and we and Laak does Laak, and we run around. She is all over. I don't know what that sound is. Is that my screen? Just give me a second. Yes, it is. Sorry. It's a moment where we can trust each other and where we improvise and where we get super wild and super heavy and super sometimes we cry and super dark, and we all almost always laugh a little bit. And I learned a little bit of my journey is when I was in university, I met Tanya Tugak, who's an Indian throat singer, who's an improviser as well. And with Tanya, like there's never a rehearsal. It's always just straight into improvisation. So I was able to cut my teeth a little bit on Tanya to be ready to to be ready to perform with Laakkuluk. You know, like it takes a lot of balls to meet the level of intensity that we meet, which I am so grateful to have the opportunity to do. And we did this. This was our first show together. Super great. We got to see each other, you know, every few months, which was really amazing for artists. I think we're often on airplanes floating between venue to venue, and with doing Keenalik together, we got to float together, and we didn't want that to end. And we wanted to continue our collaboration. So then Laak got invited to the National Gallery of Canada, and then we started Akimigialit. Do you want to explain that one?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should go back a little bit, because there's all these different names that aren't in English, and that's actually a big deal for many different reasons. So Keenalik, the name of the show is Keenalik: these sharp tools. And that is so that you can see that there's a conversation happening between two different cultures. Keenalik, or not just two, many different cultures, but between the North and the South. And it means has a face, but it's also a euphemism for a sharp knife. So we kind of had a sharp knife and these sharp tools on each end of the title of this show. Yeah, so the next show that Cris and I worked on together is called Igumagialit, and that is the word used for the Qudluk. I'm sure many of you have seen imagery or participated in the lighting of an oil lamp from Inuit culture. And generally it's referred to as Qudluk, but in traditional dwellings, there's a Qudluk, which means the lamp that's lit up above, and then an Adluk, which is a lamp lit down at the floor, so that you get convection heat inside the dwelling. So they're called Ikumagiadid. And it translates literally to those that need to be aflame, those that need to be lit on fire. And so Ikumagialid is a quartet. There's Cris and I, as well as Jamie Griffiths, who is a longtime and constant collaborator with us both and with me, as well as Christine Tutu, who is a young artist from Rankin Inlet in Nunavut. And we call ourselves a performance art band. And it really, this band of ours really solidifies a lot of the different things that we use to create, but also to, cut up and bang out processes that are not generally acknowledged within the performance art world that we're in terms of creating egalitarianism, creating equality, really expressing feminism in owning things collectively, as well as honoring each of our very unique qualities as artists. So we have some video to show you of what we've done with Ikumagialit so far.
For sure. And I think I want to point out again, our work stems from improvisation, and it stems from us being free and trusting each other and being able to play in improvisation before it kind of distills into jumping off points for us to do the piece. Ideally, we got a little bit, again, cut by COVID, but ideally, we're going to have multiple different scenes where we could interchange the piece no matter to fit wherever we are. ideally. Okay, so let's share. I got 2 short clips, and these were done up in Iqaluit, and that's where we had our rehearsals in a little shed connected to a little house. Because Iqaluit does not yet have a performing arts center, so we definitely created our own space that was really different from the National Gallery of Canada's big theater that we got to play in. You're okay, Dots. I don't. All right. So, and this is a Kimigili. And this is our cute band. This is Jamie Griffith, obviously Laak, myself, and Christine Tutu. And then
Anove, Wanga Yasok, 40, Tikatasalome, 53, Anove Nina, Anove Ikinami, Niglasini 38, Silasi 100.6,
and this is the second one.
My name is Laakkuluk Williamson Bathory, Christine Tutu,
Jamie Griffith,
Cris Derksen, and we are a part of a collective called Ikumagia Lead. And we are a performance art band that has created a show that deals with the need for us as women, as Indigenous women, as queer women,
Chris,
as
you gotta
Inuit.
do the screen share thing.
Live in
See
the
the video.
Oh my god. Sorry. That's so funny. My poor dog didn't get fed. Screen share. Here we go. She's freaking out. Okay. Did that work this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got
Okay,
it
here we go.
on now.
Here we go.
My name is Laakkuluk Williamson Bathory, Christine Tutu,
Jamie Griffith,
Cris Derksen, and we are a part of the collective called Ikumagia Lead. And we are a performance art band that has created a show that deals with the need for us as women, as Indigenous women, as queer women, as Inuit women, as women that live in the North, and how we need to be able to sink and learn how to breathe at the bottom so that we can actually deal with the issues that surround us.
All right. Now we're back. The one thing I love about, or what I was exploring a lot with Ikimigili, is creating a sound bed, a soundtrack that is definitely, that is actually nature. Like taking the sound of wind up in Iqaluit, taking the sound of blue whales, and creating, like taking the sound of the rock rubbing together and making a bed track that we could perform live to with a cello, but that was like almost entirely like natural sounds. It was super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, that same idea of using like a bed track from our perspective, from Christine and myself, was that we kept on exploring different layers of angatkonuk, shaman practices that we have always known of and we've learned about, but never actually had the physical experience of. So the grinding of the rock in Greenland, you can find many different sites where you find a rock that's completely been rubbed down. And that's from when shamans work to get themselves into a trance state. And I suppose the equivalent in more pop culture would be getting to the state of nirvana, where there's nothingness and everythingness at the same time. So that's an example of the different types of things that we kept on exploring as Inuit, going down to the very bottom of the ocean with whales and with ocean and waves and Chris's music and Jamie's very innovative tool that she created herself, where she draws light on stage live. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's in that first video that I showed. You see her on an iPad, on a pad, creating light, and that is going straight through the projector. So she could be looking. She's sitting on stage with us and drawing us in live time, in real time. So it's like kind of like the idea of projection mapping, but taking out the whole mapping part and making it definitely more intuitive and definitely more like able to change, able to improvise with us as well, which is so cool. It's so exciting.
Yeah, and so that's like an example of how all of us were working equally on this show, Ikumagieli. All of us are on stage, all of us working from this deep position of trust, which is really, you know, it doesn't really work along professional lines. It has to work from, you know, from the middle of our hearts, with friendship and with deep trust, in order to be able to do those split-second decisions, to do things on an improvisational level, so that we become a school of fish together. And it can't be done any other way but through us being deep, great friends, and also grounding ourselves on the land together. You know, we did some workshop in an igloo behind my house. We went for walks. We chose the rocks together, the rocks that we used in performance. We sat on muskox fur. We ate lots of country food while we were creating. And we also did a lot of like, okay, it's time to go swimming, you know, time for us, we need to be able to rest together in order to create together.
Yeah, and that's totally like decolonizing the theater practice entirely, because and classical and in music practice entirely, because the structures are so rigid with time. They're so like, you have to be here from this number to that number, and you're getting paid from this number to that number, and we all got paid, but we made it our time that we were together. So it was immersive for sure, but then also, like Laak said, like we took rests together. We'd go to the pool in the morning, like we would show up and be like, it's definitely, I need to sit in a hot tub before we get started, you know, like there's such luxury in taking theater practice outside of the colonial structures of time, and you can get so much done in a short period of time, when you're allowed to manipulate time and move time to fit your creativity process or your creativity like needs.
Yeah, and focusing on the person rather than the character or the position within the show as a whole. And you know, we do work an awful lot in classical theater settings, and both Cris and I really watch out for one another, especially, the set amount of hours that we have to work together. Cris will notice that like a couple years ago when we started Gina, like I was still breastfeeding my baby, and it'd be like 10:30 at night and my breasts are getting full, and she could see in my eyes that I couldn't do it anymore. She's like, okay, that's it. There's nothing happening. We got to stop. And I do the same for Cris. I can read what's happening and we're there for each other.
And, art happens in rest. I think that we forget that. Like, we need to be able to absorb what we are trying to push, what we're trying to create, what we're trying to get out. We need to be able to absorb it into ourselves before we're able to regurgitate it, to get it out. Like, we absolutely need time off and time to rest. And we always forget that in the arts. Holy, like in the pandemic times, I'm so bad at it. My wife has to like pull me away from the computer, and it's so bizarre how I'm better at self-care when I was on the road than when I'm always at home, because I find it's just easy to work all of the time, and that's no good for nobody, says my wife.
Nobody.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with her. But let's talk about the pandy times. We're going on to the pandy times. So now here we are, 15 months with only seeing each other two-dimensional, but we're still able to create. I know it's so sad, but we're still able to create and share. And one of the first projects we did the last fall was for Indigenous Fashion Week Toronto. So Indigenous Fashion Week is usually like, a fashion show, and I probably would have just like played one song, and also they probably would have just had a full Spotify Indigenous playlist go along with the walkers. But because we were forced into a time where we couldn't actually do that, we had to get more creative. And I think in composition, usually when I get a commission, there's parameters around what the commission is, whether it's like the instrumentation, whether it's about the theme topic. There's always a parameter. And what I found is lots of folks were super stuck at the beginning of the pandy, and I was like, you know what, it's just a new parameter. Like, I just got to think of it as these are the walls that we can now work in, and how can we be creative with it. And they did an amazing job at Indigenous Fashion Week, and so basically we just started file sharing, and again with not a lot of resources up north. There's not like a great recording studio up there. I've been taking a lot of iPhone files and making them into Magic. So this is, I'm not going to share the full thing because we're running out of time, but this is like a few minutes of the Indigenous fashion Toronto that really features Laakkuluk and Christine. Okay, I'm sharing this one, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go, Cris.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to touch the internet because my internet's so bad.
You'll again hear the rubbing of rocks, so that influence coming back into this piece.
Manna auya kamilakbo.
Sorry, I was trying to do sound things, and then there's too many buttons here.
Manna auya kamilakbo. paarnaqarluarpu kihutaarnallu nuna qorsuugaluarpu imaq atorluarpaq erninnaq ukiaqsaaq aputitaas ama imaq suliarpa taava ukiassaaq ukiaq ullutartut ullukinnerusut sikkutaarlutalu ukio sikkuqartuinaallata silla issik taarl kisiani qaangiulerluni qaamana upernersaamutikilluta silla qaama silla nillerpu
Sorry for the abruptness of that
Yes.
end. So yeah, this is like us starting to share files from afar and work together from afar. And we recently just finished a very rad film that is going to come out on Saturday, but we'll tell you more about that at the very, very end. Let's keep on keeping on. We got only about 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Buddy Lee's going to put on a slide. And all right. There we go. So somebody in the chat asked what the sound of COVID is. I think maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow when we're in conversation with Renalta. But to partially address that question, we've been required to come up with new realms, with new parameters, as Cris was saying. And so instead of doing, the sumptuous performances that I actually miss so much on big, beautiful stages, I've started making small stages just here in my studio. So it's just me and you. And each one of you are just sitting at your computer. So it is just you and me. So I'm going to read you a segment of my new play called An Nosak. And you're looking at a picture of my tiny little set. I do storytelling. I'll just read you a couple stanzas, and then you can look forward to seeing the rest in the live performance sometime. Brown rock, braided with strips of green. Rivers eagerly searching and surging towards ever lower ground, and finally spilling orgasmically into the ocean. That ocean rhythmically sending up white caps, mirroring the shapes of beluga whales swimming in the shallows. On sunny days and on the right approach, I'm able to pick out our family cabin, nestled in at the end of Chikgut, and once satisfied with the sighting, my eyes trail along the shore until they bump into the American Army dump site at the farthest point of Nyakpungmut, an orange and brown rusted toxic cliff, barely knit together, bits of Cold War sludge and cast-offs. My ears pop as my plane lowers to the ground. The spatters of little box houses, blue, red, beige, and a little more beige. The kids whirl their bikes, the dogs shit, the teenagers giggle and scuffle, smokers flick their cigarettes, and joggers puff their chests and tuck their tailbones in. The tides yawn and sigh, and hunters zip into town bringing seawater dipped seal meat and geese that need plucking and roasting. Dust rises up in the streets and nestles back down on the hills around Iqaluit, the hills that hold the micro jungle of Nuna, where the bumblebees bombinate and rub and lick one alluring bloom after another. It seems like a dream now, when we would all lean over to the windows and watch town quickly grow at the border of two vastnesses, the edge of Baffin Island and the ocean. And it goes on and on and on, this story about Iqaluit and its shanty town and homelessness and home and homeland and colonial relationships to buildings and what is waste within space. And that's the beginning and the gist of An Nosak.
We can go back to, there we go. Our face.
Go back to us now.
So beautiful. I can't wait to score that.
Ooh, yes. Okay, let's do it.
Great. Where do you want to go next? We've just because time got a little bit away on us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should watch some Winterborn.
Okay.
Got to.
Cool. So, up next is kind of overview of what I do for like live performances on my own. So it's just me with all of my pedals and all of my electronics. I have a carbon fiber cello, so I have a black cello. And it's carbon fiber, which means it's like pretty indestructible, which is great for travel, and great for weather, which means I can perform for the New Year's shows that I get invited to outside, and I can also perform in the hot heat of the summer festivals.
Mexico.
And Mexico. Let me tell you this one story. So we did Quina League in Mexico, and I ate the ice, and I got a super upset stomach, and it was really bad, like really, really bad. And at the end of our performances, we only had a few, but after the first one, I bowed, and then I whispered to Laak, I didn't poop, and then I bowed again. It was excellent.
Quite the accomplishment.
It was like,
so
yeah.
we learned how to say sin juelo, por favor. At all costs, sin juelo.
yeah, stories from the road. All right, here we go. this is about halfway through the piece. And there it is. Winterborn, I wrote that at my mom's house in Edmonton, or in Sherwood Park, and I was watching the entire Born Supremacy series at my mom's house, and then I wrote a spy movie theme song.
Well, I think maybe we have all these things planned to show you, but we have more time with you tomorrow. White Liar?
Yeah, why don't we do White Liar, and then let's close with the preview photo.
Yeah. So Lee, if you could put on the slide with the white lyre here. So this is the one of the latest collaborations that I've done with Jamie Griffiths. You should have a look at her website, jamiegriffiths.com. And we've introduced you to her before. She lives here in Laakkuluk, just down the road from me. And this piece is called The White Lyre and the Known Shore, Frobisher and the Queen, 2021. So as some of you may know, Iqaluit was briefly known as Frobisher Bay, but we returned to the Inuktitut place name a number of years ago now, more than 20 years ago. But the remnants of Sir Martin Frobisher is still very heavy in this very colonized town that we live in. And so the White Lyre is a character that Jamie brings forth in many different ways in her practice as an English Canadian white person. And it's to make you feel uncomfortable about the lies that white people tell themselves in order to stay supreme. So here she is dressed up as Sir Martin Frobisher in white. And I'm crouched next to her as Queen Elizabeth I. I'm in whiteface, and I think it's so funny that I get to do whiteface. And there I am with my flag, my banners of red and black, to kind of, not just kind of, to usurp the power that Queen Elizabeth I had as the Virgin Queen. Reclaim that sexuality and celebration of sexuality. And this is just outside of Iqaluit, in the inlet that many people are catching geese and sandhill cranes at the moment. Lots of eggs being plucked from nests and eaten with relish. Yeah, maybe that's all I'll have to say about this piece at the moment. Oh, no. One more thing. You can go see it in Coast Salish country in Vancouver at the McBride Park on 4th Avenue. I'm not so good with where that is. Kitsilano. Other people who live there or there, you can go find it. It's hanging on a tennis court fence. And I quite like the way it is placed because it's in the midst of huge greenery and a lot of white people lying to themselves about how great their lives are.
I also think it's like super relevant, especially like right now, and as we all like grapple with the 535 and rising number of lost Indigenous babies, like and it's like, you know, it's such a hard time, but it's also like we've known that there's mass graves, like we've been telling you, like we've known this, so it's not new for us. It's obviously devastating, but it's for us, it's not new, you know. And I think that's so relevant with the piece with the White Lyre.
Yeah, so I think we're running very short on time. We can move to the last slide that we have. Adok.
And tomorrow we're gonna do a chat with Renalta. So if you have questions from today's offerings, then just put them in the chat.
Love to address all of them. Yeah, so Lee, if you could bring up the last slide there, we'll talk about real-time stuff that's coming out right now that we're collaborating on. So again, this is pandemonium art material, and us really flexing our creative and collaborative muscles so that we can create work very far apart. And again, so this is another Ikumagiali project where it's with Cris and I, working with Christine Tutu and Jamie Griffiths. And Cris is in Toronto, Christine is in Kangaklinok, Rankin Inlet, Nunavut, and then Jamie and I are here. And a lot of this work started off during lockdown, so Jamie and I weren't able to be together at all. So most of this project was created completely separately. So we really had to dig in again into this deep trust that we have for one another, and be able to plug into the idea that we let creativity lead us first. You know, improvisation leads us first, and then we create the entirety afterwards.
And I think we were...
So this is a piece called Adok. Go ahead.
I think we were also like struggling a bit with the creativity bit and like how to get started. And you know, we tried to do the Zooms. Internet is not great for the other three folks, and we tried to do Google documents and like write things, and really it was like kind of like pulling teeth. Nothing was really coming together. And the way it actually came together was because we have a group chat on Facebook. So the way it actually came together was like us doing our regular normal lives, just like chatting out thoughts and ideas of like moods to get us through, to get this contract done. But it also like, it was because, you know, once we took it out of like, we've got to be on the Zoom from this time to this time to create this thing from that time to that time. Once we took that out, then we were able to like let it come to us. And we through Facebook chat is like us just texting each other is how this piece came to be. And you can see it on Saturday at Everseeker. I don't have the link.
Every Seeker Festival in Halifax. So you can Google Every Seeker, and then look up Ikumagialit. It's on at 8 p.m. Atlantic time. You have to register at the festival to be able to see it. But we're really excited to have people come see. We've been really pleased with, and this is one of the things that we can do when we're collaborators. We can't just be like, my work is so amazing, you gotta come see it. No, it's actually about being so proud of how each one of us have contributed to something that's larger than each of us individually. So we can actually be so proud of this as Indigenous people that are humble about what we have to offer. Yeah. So what else do we say about it?
So come on Saturday, and then come tomorrow and hang out.
And come tomorrow, be with us in Renalta.
I'll be asking questions, but it'll be really easy. It'll be similar to this. It'll be like a conversation, kind of prompting off of each other, and just sharing some laughter and some joy in this little world that we're in. I just want to say Masicho Kuyanik for that incredible, in-depth, insightful, joyful, engaging and trust-filled conversation. So thank you, Masicho Kuyanik for that. It was just incredible.
Thanks.
Yes.
So I just wanted to, before we close off, I just want to say thank you, Masicho Kuyanik, for everyone who joined us today and taking the time and please join us tomorrow, because now that you've seen their incredible breadth of work, we'll be able to kind of dig in a little bit more and hear about impetus and improvisation process and the creative process. It is a form. I mean, already you've dug into how much of that is decentralized as like a Western practice, but really connected to Indigenous process and quite powerful. So I just want to thank our sponsors, RBC and Slate Foundation, for being able for us to do this Indigenous-led work. And I'll see you tomorrow. And please put your questions in the chat and tune in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, kuya nami. Kuya na kayo swak.